But first, how badly has this exodus from Afghanistan panned out? Could it get any worse? Well, the way it's going, you bet it can. Today's horrific double bombing at the Abbey Gate entry to Kabul's international airport told us clearly that the West has now returned to the fearful days of 9/11. The bombings claimed the lives of 13 American Marines and close to 100 Afghans are dead. 50 others are reported to be maimed and injured in the blasts.
Australia condemns the evil, the calculated and inhuman attacks that were undertaken in Kabul overnight on the innocent and on the brave.
And would you believe our own forces were at those Abbey Gates only a couple of hours earlier, but luckily were in the air when the bombings occurred. NATO forces knew this was coming, not just today, but the moment those 100 plus odd members of ISIS-Z terror group walked straight through the gates of Kabul's maximum security prison 8 days ago. It's taken responsibility for these bombings, but how, in any so-called deal to depart the country, do you not ensure that those prisoners remain locked up? Forget about the president's reverse order of exiting the country. That was strategically woeful enough. But they allowed prisoners who'd been annihilated by the US in northern Iraq and western Syria to be freed and then have a week to blow the smithereens out of innocent Afghans and some of the best soldiers in the world. Only yesterday, the White House was crowing about the success of their work.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Anything but a success. Well, even before today's wretched terror attack, the evacuation itself has been nothing short of calamitous. Their intelligence about when the Taliban would arrive in Kabul was shockingly inaccurate. There was little time to get all those who deserved to get out of the country. The stampede itself at the airport claimed lives, and the Taliban made that even more impossible. And all Joe Biden could muster today was to play the old standard and posthumous America will retaliate card.
We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
Too late, Joe. You've had close to 20 years to plan this exodus. He would have known if he was ever to become the president that would have been one of his chief jobs. 20 years and everything about it turned to garbage and death. And it didn't take long for Donald Trump to highlight the obvious.
I think our soldiers are in tremendous danger. I think airplanes flying in and out of the airport are in tremendous danger. They have the best equipment, best rockets, the best tanks and helicopters, Apache helicopters, a lot of them that are immensely valuable. And by the way, Russia wants them because they want to examine them because we have far superior technology.
What about those left behind? Whenever any of those locals, NATO workers who are now sitting in their homes, in their shanties, holding a visa to Britain, America or even Australia, whenever they make any submission to activate those approvals to leave Afghanistan, the Taliban can easily track them down and murder them and everyone around them because that has always been the Taliban DNA. Great success, that.
We will not be deterred by terrorists. We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation.
Well, he'd better be more than just not deterred. ISIS-Z could easily outdo the old Al-Qaeda in seeking their own revenge for the conflict in Iraq and Syria. In fact, that applies to all Western nations, including Australia. Afghanistan is again the terror capital of the world, not just because ISIS is rebuilding and the Taliban will stand back and allow their deeds to continue, but it means, just like we saw prior to ISIS moving from Syria into Iraq, the online brainwashing of susceptible Islamic kids around the Western world restarts. And ISIS doesn't need to travel a single mile to launch an attack using those methods?
So we will continue to take every step necessary to protect Australians, to keep Australians safe and to ensure stability, especially in our region.
Now, thankfully, a major part of that job now is in the hands of someone who doesn't muck around and is not afraid to make aggressive, difficult decisions, and that's the Defence Minister, Peter Dutton.
All of the intelligence agencies are focused on the terrorist threat to not just our country but to Australians who travel overseas in a normal year, and particularly in Southeast Asia, returning foreign fighters. And I think you'll see some activity of foreign fighters seeking to move around, etc., in the current atmosphere in the Middle East. Obviously, the pressure now is on the Taliban to honour their word and to execute by way of deed that word, that assurance that they've given. And I think the world now is watching to see what they do next.
I think if we're expecting any kind of deal or deals being honoured by Taliban butchers, we are fools. Now, Peter Dutton is no fool. He'll be moving on to plan B immediately, which is to expect the worst from both the Taliban and ISIS. Between the threats from COVID and now terrorism in the Biden era, we need to sharpen our resources at the border. The world has changed dramatically yet again.